Indecision. I'm Orestria, and this is my solo review of Tokyo Ghoul. Tokyo Ghoul is a dark action anime taking place in a world full of ghouls. Ghouls are like a cross between mostly vampires with a little bit of zombie thrown in for good measure. Ghouls look like your everyday regular person. You could be standing right next to a ghoul and not know it. Like a vampire, ghouls need to feed on humans to survive. But unlike a vampire, this is where the zombie comes in, they don't just want our blood, they want to actually consume our flesh. Just like any vampire story, you get a few different factions. You get the evil, mass-murdering kind of vampires, you get the vampires that are trying to find a way to coexist with humans, and then you get the actual humans who are just trying to survive here, thanks. And survival might not be easy. Ghouls are super strong, super fast, and have superior senses to human beings. They can also create a kind of appendage out of their own body that they use as a weapon. Stronger than steel, it's unique to each different ghoul, and it really affects their fighting style as well. Normal human weapons have no effect on them. You can't cut them up with a sword, it will not pierce their skin. Which means stabbing random people with a kitchen knife is a great way to find out if they're a ghoul. Ghouls can also take a lot of punishment. They can certainly survive blood loss that no human ever could. So if you're fighting a ghoul and they go down, you better make sure they're actually dead, because otherwise they're going to come right back at you a week later and they'll be fine. Our main character is Kaneki Ken, and he is a regular, maybe slightly antisocial university student. He doesn't have a lot of friends, and his favorite hobby is reading. God, that hits a little close to home, actually. Anyway, his whole world is turned upside down as he starts to discover all of the ghouls are living in his life. Luckily, he gets in friendly with the good ghouls, but that's not where his trouble ends. There's constant conflict, and any ghoul can just jump out of an alley at you, too. Kaneki Ken has to find a way to survive, and a way to protect the people he actually cares about. Other than Kaneki, we have a wide and really varied amount of characters. This show has some really interesting character designs and a lot of really messed up people going on. I personally really enjoy the action scene. I think I mentioned it before, but every ghoul kind of has their own different fighting style, partly because of whatever kind of appendage they have. Like, some people might have one big, strong, stabby thing. Technical term. Some people might have 4 kind of shorter ones. And our main female character, Toka, actually has one that looks like a wing. Really cool looking. Some of the fights have really high stakes, especially the ones where human characters are involved. And it's really interesting seeing the humans try to figure out ways that they can compete and ways they can actually combat these different ghouls. And they thought they had problems with just the regular ghouls. We start running into some super ghouls because, hey, an action show, you're going to get some more powerful ones. Another interesting thing about Tokyo Ghoul is it really considers itself a horror show. I don't entirely agree. I find that when I'm watching an excellent horror anime, there's a kind of overarching tension and suspense where every single thing that happens in the show, you're going, oh no, oh shit. And even if nothing actually happens, you're so worried that something's going to happen that you're still stuck in the moment. For me, that would be a show like Parasite. Hopefully something one of us talks about soon. With Tokyo Ghoul, I wouldn't say it achieves that. There's not an overarching suspense to it. But there are definitely some very suspenseful scenes and some very horrific scenes. There's even one scene that when I was rewatching the show, I skipped the scene. And I think anytime a show has a scene that affects you that powerfully, the show has to be doing something right, even if it has flaws elsewhere. And just a perspective coming from someone living in Japan, I see this show everywhere. I walk into a manga store and there's displays for the manga. I see merchandise for it regularly. On Halloween, I saw about 10 different people dressed as Kaneki. So it really is striking a chord with people. For that reason, I recommend that if anything in this review has piqued your interest, you should give it a try. The show is only 2 seasons long, so you don't have to put in a lot of time and investment to see if you actually enjoy it. Each season has its own arc, So by the time you finish season 1, you'll really know if you like the show or not. It's worth noting that you should try and find uncensored if you can. Whether you're watching censored or uncensored, you're going to see buckets of blood everywhere. The main difference is that the censored version tends to put a big blurry black shape over any moment where someone is like impaled, or like if an arm is ripped off, covering up the end of that arm, which actually has the effect where the censorship doesn't really hide the gruesome things that are happening. It just makes you more confused about what is happening. There were a couple scenes where after I watched them in censored, I was dying for the uncensored to come out just so I could see what actually happened in this. So I wouldn't recommend the censored version. Definitely try and get uncensored. If you can't handle blood and dismemberment, you shouldn't be watching this show anyway. The censored version is not going to save you. Anyway, I personally really enjoy this show. I'm super stoked to see what comes up next in season 3. And I know no one actually cares about this, but this show is my current winner for best anime opening theme as it pertains to the mood of the show. The season 1 opening theme is just amazing. I love it. Well, that's all I've really got to say about this one. See you next time. Bye-bye!